I'm here in Athens, and behind me is the Acropolis, probably the most well-known temple of the ancient world. This is one of the many different pagan temples in the Greco-Roman world of Paul and the early church, and it's not even one of the biggest. We see the strides that the New Testament church makes in growth, with multiple churches being planted all throughout the Roman Empire through missionaries such as the Apostle Paul, Barnabas, and Silas. But one often overlooked aspect of the growth of these churches is that they do so in the presence of incredible adversity. These temples were places not only of ritual sacrifices, but also staunch places of idolatry as well as sexual immorality. Worship at temples such as these were not just immensely popular, but were to a degree required by law in first century. The stability of the city's economy was dependent on worship that took place at the temple. As we see in Acts 19, when Paul begins preaching in the city of Ephesus, as more and more people leave the cult of pagan worship at the temples, those involved in the temple worship become increasingly hostile. When looking at the sheer size of the temple behind me, a temple that is smaller than what was in Ephesus, one has to wonder, how could the church ever stand up against such power? The pagan temple cults had wealth, respect, power, and even authority in some places, but there was one thing that they lacked, that the early believers had, which allowed them to stand up against such a spiritual monopoly. They had faith in the one true God. When I look at the brilliance of a temple such as the Parthenon, one of the many pagan temples in the Roman Empire, the mission of the first century church becomes that much more real in the modern world. Like the Christians of the early church of the Greco-Roman world, my faith can overcome any adversity, no matter the size.